Whatever you do, don't freak out, but this bug lives on your face. Demotic mites dig face first inside your pores. But don't freak out, they're harmless. They just eat your grease and dead skin on your face. But there is one thing you should be worried about. Don't cry, but they do wake up in the middle of the night to mate on your face. Yeah, now you know. But they're harmless. And they live on all of you. Live with it. Like if you want a part 2 of things you don't know that live on your body.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. You have to have life insurance policy for 2 years before they'll pay out for a suicide. Brain-eating amoeba exist, and you can contract it from swimming in lakes or tainted tap water. They live in the US and UK. Female dragonflies fake their own death to prevent rape. Before modern medicine, there was this illness called mercy. Basically, if you had it, you were puking your own feces and you were sure to die in great pain. It is caused by obstruction in intestines. Most people trapped in the Titanic, as it went under, did not die of drowning. Rather, they were killed by water blasting into the ship's hull at great speed. At those pressures, the water would cut and crush you before it even had the chance to enter your body. Death by strangulation can turn teeth pink. The stress on the pulp chambers causes it to hemorrhage, so the blood colors the inside. Comment on this video and let me know which fact is the most disturbing.
Humans actually came from Mars. Okay, recently the NASA rover Perseverance found organic matter suggesting that life existed on this planet 3.5 billion years ago. Also, the redness of Mars is believed to be a nuclear winter, which is a phenomenon caused by nuclear weapons being used on a planet. Well, there is a theory that human life actually started on Mars. And the reason that we are now on Earth is because we drained all of Mars's natural resources and had no choice at all but to come to Earth. However, if you look at the current situation on Earth, it probably won't be long until Earth turns into Mars.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 8.
Did you know these facts? The Boeing factory is so large they had to install a one-of-a-kind air circulation system to stop clouds from forming inside of the building. This is the world's smallest drawbridge in Bermuda. The US Navy is known to have used Xbox controllers to control the periscopes on submarines. James Cameron was homeless when he wrote The Terminator. He sold the rights for $1 on the condition that he was the one to direct the movie. A race was held in 1888 between a pigeon and a bee for 3 miles, where the bee won by 25 seconds. Camels have 3 eyelids that helps protect their eyes from the blowing sand. Cherries are dried with helicopters. It would take you 18 months to walk the Great Wall of China. The USA speaks more than 350 different languages. Scientists are out there making arguments that we may have more than 5 senses, one of them being magnetoreception, which is the ability to sense magnetic fields, and the other is chronoception, which is the ability to sense time passing.
Here are some everyday life hacks you need to know. Have you ever had a tight ring get stuck on your finger? Well, all you have to do is grab some string and tuck it underneath the ring. And use that same string and keep wrapping it around your finger. Then all you have to do is grab the other side and start pulling. And it will magically remove the ring. Now, who else hates when you have tape on your paper and you end up just ripping it? Well, in order to not do that, all you have to do is grab the tape on both sides and pull really hard, which then causes the tape to be removed moved very easy, and your paper still intact. Now, if your house key ever breaks in your lock, get yourself a hot glue stick and then place it inside of the lock. Wait for it to dry a little bit and then pull it right out.
Gruesome facts you didn't know, part 82. Weighing nearly 90 pounds, the costume used for the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz was made of real lion skin and fur, as well as human hair mixed in. The South Fork of the Chicago River was given the nickname Bubbly Creek. It would bubble methane and hydrogen sulfide gas, which was due to meat packers dumping blood and entrails into the water. In 2002, a Croatian diver was found dead in an underwater cave with a knife protruding from his chest. Initially believed to be a homicide, forensic analysis discovered that the man took his own life to avoid the agony of drowning. It was the first reported case of suicide while diving.
Here are some things you were definitely never meant to see. Or no. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, let's start here. What the heck here? This is an image captured from inside of a house in America. Now it appears to be a gigantic eagle-type bird thing. But when did they get that big? Like, no, that ain't no eagle. That's Lucifer's pet bird. We're all doomed. Next, I bet you didn't know that elephants can actually hear out of their feet. So what you're saying is those abnormally large ears are not the only place an elephant can hear. Nature, you good? Bees can actually live inside of your eye. And to make the nightmare worse, this has happened before to a Taiwanese woman in 2019, when a doctor found not one, not two, not three, but 4 bees living inside of her eye, feeding off her tears. What kind of horror movie shit was that? Big a deal. If you didn't know about any of these, you have to share it.
Three of the most unnerving facial reconstructions of John and Jane Does. You can first look at the Salem County John Doe. These remains were found in 1979, I believe in the New Jersey area under a pile of logs and grass. Kind of freaks me out about some of the classic facial reconstructions like this is that the teeth are original, or the same teeth from the skull that this was reconstructed over. Reconstruction is only named in the records that I found as Becca, her story being that she was discovered in Albuquerque in 1991 while hanging in a motel bathroom. But these are another type of reconstruction that I do not like, solely because all of what's depicted here in the illustration is of the actual remains, just that they've drawn the eyes open. 1991 Harris County Jane Doe. December 15th, 1991, when she was found in Houston, Texas, allegedly stuffed into the bottom of a cardboard box. Is a different style of reconstruction, where it is an actual photograph of the body, it's just that the eyes have been photoshopped to be open. If cases of the Unsolved or similar stories to this are of interest to you, we do have additional information on the show.
Back in March, dismembered body parts were found scattered across Long Island, and the victims were eventually identified as 59-year-old Donna Connolly and her partner, 53-year-old Malcolm Craig Brown. Not long after, Stephen Brown, Jeffrey Mackey, Amanda Wallace, and Alexis Nieves were arrested in connection to their deaths and charged with first-degree hindering prosecution, tampering with evidence, and concealment of a human corpse. They were all released on bail in mid-March with GPS monitors. But then in May, Jeffrey Mackey and Alexis Nieves were charged with murder. The Suffolk County DA said that the victims had participated in the planning of a gas station robbery back in February, and they allegedly planned it while Mackey and Nieves executed it. This ended up leading to a dispute between Malcolm and Donna and the 4 suspects, and that dispute ultimately led to their death. It is believed that Nieves and Mackey murdered Donna and Malcolm, while Wallace and Brown helped to dismember and dispose of the bodies. Mackey and Nieves have pleaded not guilty and are maintaining their innocence. But now, both Amanda Wallace and Stephen Brown, who is Malcolm's cousin, have pleaded guilty. This week, Amanda Wallace pleaded guilty to 5 felony charges and named Mackey and Nieves as the perpetrators. And then on Thursday, Brown pleaded guilty to 6 felony charges, admitting to participating in a plot to kill the victims and conceal their deaths. Both Wallace and Brown maintain that they did not commit the actual murders. And it is being said that they are both cooperating with authorities. They have yet to be sentenced, but because they are cooperating and have agreed to a plea deal, their sentence will be reduced than if they pled not guilty. Meanwhile, Mackey and Nieves have been charged with murder and are maintaining their innocence.
Really weird fun facts that you might find pretty damn interesting. Number 1, banging your head against a wall for an hour burns 150 calories. Number 2, approximately 40,000 Americans are injured by toilets each year. Number 3, there's a higher chance of you being elected President of the United States than winning the lottery. Number 4, an average of 100 people choke to death on ballpoint pens each year. Number 5, it is harder to be an employee at Walmart than a student at Harvard, because Walmart has a lower acceptance rate. Number 6, human birth control pills work on gorillas. Number 7, there are 2 million millionaires in the United States. I am not one of them. And number 8, like fingerprints, every tongue print is different from person to person.
Fun facts about the human body PT.2. If someone is sleeping and you blow on their eyes won't react, but if they're awake they will flutter a bit. That's how you check if someone is really sleeping. If you drink nothing but purple Powerade for 3 days straight, your poop will turn neon green. Your sense of balance is strongly linked to your eyes, and you may notice it's harder to keep your balance with them closed even if you're standing still. Women are actually programmed to forget the pain of childbirth after a few months or so. If this didn't happen, most women would only end up having one child, which would eventually lower the population.
Wholesome facts that'll make your day slightly better, Part 1. When a human sees a puppy, a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain. Elephants also release dopamine when they see people, meaning that they think we're cute in the same way we think puppies are cute. There's a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I that teaches young people things that would typically be taught by a father figure. From how to change a tire to how to tie a tie, fans of the channel think it's super helpful. When you're on a walk with your dog and they stop to take a dump, you may notice that your fluffy friend is staring at you as they poop. They do this because they're in a defenseless position and they're trusting you to keep them safe. There are more public libraries in the US than McDonald's. After the horrific events of 9/11, a small Kenyan tribe known as the Maasai people gave 14 cows to the US in their support. The man who played Mickey Mouse ended up marrying the woman who played Minnie Mouse, meaning that true love actually exists.
Most of the comments are worried about that little guy, but he's fine. The snake's in trouble though. Meet the mongoose. They only get up to about 10 pounds. But let me tell you, that is the most ruthless 10 pounds in the world. It's like a hyper-aggressive, condensed version of John Wick that's a fully carnivorous hunter. And they are literally designed to fight snakes. Specifically venomous snakes. Like they prefer venomous snakes. King cobras, regular cobras, rattlesnakes, vipers, it's on sight. Fear? Never heard of her. But basically, the reaction speed is faster than a cat. So they can avoid all of the snake's bites. And once it gets close enough, it'll bite the head of the snake, crushing the skull. But the crazy thing is, even if they do take a bite, it's not that big of a deal. They have a protein in their body that binds to the protein in snake venom and digests it, like food. So usually, a venomous snake bite will just knock them out for like 15 or 20 minutes. And then it's on to round 2. And as always, follow for more facts.
Disturbing facts about Disney that will leave you shocked. 18-year-old actress who voiced Snow White was paid less than $1,000 to do it. She also was not credited. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used real skulls in its set design when it first opened. Actress who played Lilo in Lilo and Stitch also played Samara in The Ring. Part of Your World was almost cut from The Little Mermaid because the chair of Walt Disney Studios was afraid that kids would think that the song was boring. Stan from Beauty and the Beast in the 1995 version was the first male villain in any Disney princess movie. After Finding Nemo came out, there was a problem with kids around the world flushing their fish down the toilet so that they could go back to the ocean. The music on the It's a Small World ride never, ever turns off. Follow for more facts.
Police have arrested a Chucky doll for threatening members of the public with a knife. This month, police in Mexico arrested a doll. Terrifyingly, they had been made aware of a Chucky doll who, along with its owner, were threatening the public in Monclova. If you're not already aware, the doll comes from the 1988 film Child's Play. In the movie, the serial killer turns into the doll, which then begins a terrifying crime spree. The owner of the doll has only been identified as Carlos N. He was reportedly scaring the public with the doll, threatening them with a knife and demanding money off them. Both Carlos and the doll were charged with disturbing the peace and putting others' integrity at risk. The doll was handcuffed and taken to the police station. They both had mugshots taken, and there has been some controversy over whether or not the officers were taking their job seriously. The police officer who put cuffs onto the Chucky doll has been reprimanded.
Some unusual activity took place at an ATM in Arkansas when the machine dispensed a kitten instead of money. The bank's security guard was making his usual rounds when he noticed a faint meow and realized it was coming from inside the ATM. It was unclear if this animal was just seeking shade or trying to pull off some clever ATM heist, but either way, the security guard figured that the cat should be removed as soon as possible and called the fire department right away. Firefighters arrived on scene, and with a little bit of work, they successfully made a cat withdrawal. Thankfully, while he was a bit grumpy from the ordeal and required some nourishment, the kitten was overall healthy. He was named Cash and taken to the Fort Smith Animal Haven, where a veterinarian placed him on a care plan to recuperate and gain some weight. He was scared at first, but he settled in quickly, and as his personality came out, it became clear that Cash was actually a super friendly and cuddly little guy. After some socialization in a foster setting, Cash was adopted by a local doctor, and he's now living a much more comfortable life away from any banks or ATMs. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
16-year-old Allie Lowitzer vanished off her school bus, and she has never been seen since. This footage is from her high school the day of. It is April 26th, 2010. Well, this footage would mark the last time she was ever actually seen. She ended up getting off her bus stop right on this very street that you see behind me, and this was seen on camera on that bus at 2:56 p.m. And she had already texted her mom that she was going to be walking from their home to her job, which is only about 10 or so minutes away. But at 2:57, just a minute after she got off the bus, she sent a text to her friend. Then her phone mysteriously turned off, and nobody has seen her since. Years into this case, there has only ever been one witness who came forward who said they might have seen a girl who fit her description talking to somebody in a white.
Hard to hear, but that's why.
Giant monsters caught on tape. Now supposedly during a big storm on a beach, a giant monster came out. Some people say it was special effects, while others say that it was a giant monster named Cthulhu. Scientists say big creatures like this can't exist on land because their bones wouldn't be able to support their body. But in the ocean, it's possible. All I know is I'm moving to Mars. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is real or fake. Was it really a monster, or are they covering up saying it was effects? And like this video if you want more giant creatures caught on tape.
Scariest bird sounds in the world.
We're not back with these scary bird sounds again.
Black-collared starling.
Oh, what does that sound like then? I thought it was a cat. Oh god, I sound like I'm on the aeroplane. Okay, right, we've gathered this one. Is that real? Peeha, you don't want to piece him off. Wait, that sounds like that alarm, doesn't it? Like the bloody, I don't know what it's called.
Shoebill.
We know what the shoebill sounds like. Call of Duty. Look. Are these extinct, or are they still alive? Because I'd love to see one in person. Like, look.
Cassowary.
Oh, this is the deep throat one, innit? Apparently these are very dangerous, you know. Everyone was saying that they're quite scary to be near.
White bellbird.
A white bellbird? What is that? It doesn't even sound real, does it? It sounds like a spaceship coming to get me is what it sounds like. Oh!
This is some dark stuff going on around the world that the public definitely doesn't know about. Up first, humanity has wiped out 60% of the animal population since 1970. Just think about that for a second. 60% of all animal population has been wiped out. This is absolutely crazy, and we use all of these resources for food and clothes and just stuff like that. But when you hear that we killed 60% of the animal population, it kind of makes you think, right? Next up, we all know the mega city that Saudi Arabia is building called Neom. But did you know Saudi Arabia is sentencing people to death who refuse to move out of their homes so they could actually build the mega city Neom? And their relatives are being sentenced to multiple decades of prison time just for protesting and posting their support to the cause on social media. This is absolutely sickening, and I can't believe nobody is talking about this. This next one is going to keep us all up at night, but bacterial resistance to antibiotics is at an alarming level. There has already been instances of pan-antibiotic resistant strains of bacteria. This can throw us back to the pre-antibiotic era, which will effectively mean if you catch an infection, you will die, just like in the 1400s. Finally, women are going missing from Indian reservations across some of the United States. Many are young women and are probably being used for sex trafficking. I wonder why they're taking Indian women from Indian reservations. And I wonder why sick stuff happens like this on Earth every single day.
Someone said I should go and watch Chimp Crazy, and I like to think a bungee jump off the Brooklyn Bridge would have been lesser to my blood pressure. If you want the spark notes, it's basically Tiger King but with chimps, but somehow even worse than that. I thought it was common knowledge that chimps are rageaholic chainsaws with thumbs, free will, and no morality to tie them down. It's a whole part-time predator with the Punisher's skill set and cannibalistic tendencies. I do not get how in the decade of 2020, people still think it's a good idea to invite this reality check of the animal kingdom into your living room. You've probably heard the horror stories of people that tried playing house with a chimp and then found out, but here's a story you might not have heard. Once upon a time, there was a place called Chimp Party. Well, actually, it was renamed the Missouri Primate Foundation, but that sounds way too professional for what was going on in there, so Chimp Party. And what it was basically a puppy mill but for chimps in Festus, Missouri. As bad as you think it is, probably worse. Basically breeding chimps to sell as exotic pets or rent for TV or commercials or whatever. Anyway, one day the chimps got out. Actually, it happened more than once, but this time in 2001, they escaped and ended up pressing a nearby family. A family that included 18-year-old Jason Coates. The chimps were throwing rocks, they chased him into a car, they was fully chimped out. Now, you know Jason a real one, because stuff didn't get serious until they started throwing his dog around. He was not letting that slide. So the story goes, Jason ran out the car, got into the house, and came back with the mouse-catool. He tried scaring them, but when one of the chimps, Susie, charged him, he sent her the dog backwards. But here's where it gets wicked. Not only did Jason get arrested and charged with chimp murder, not only was he put in jail with grown men for refusing to be chimp bait, not only did he miss the birth of his first child because he was in there, he would be registered as a felon because of it until really only a couple years ago. I love animals, I really do, but if a chimp's coming at me with malicious intent, well actually any intent, and I got that pole on me, either the chimp's getting it or I'm self-medicating with a bullet. For 20 years he was a convicted felon for the crime of not letting a chimp peel him like a banana, and we know that would have happened because Susie had a son named Travis. Yeah, the same Travis that literally defaced a woman. That's a literal travesty. Yeah, moral of the story, chimping ain't easy, but it won't stop some people from trying.